Great way to start this day. We will now move on to item 19, proclaiming April 2024 as Arts Month in Los Angeles County, and item 45, report on the Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative, which I held. For members of the public on the telephone, please press 1 then 0 now to comment on these items. We are joined today by our Director of Arts and Culture, Kristen Sakota, as well as Kelly Lobianco, Director of Economic Opportunities, and Gustavo Herrera, Chief Executive Officer, Arts for LA, who will make a presentation before we turn to our supervisor remarks.
Excellent. Good morning. Thank you so much, supervisors. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. As just introduced, I'm Kristen Sakota, serving as director of the LA County Department of Arts and Culture. And let me start by saying Happy Arts Month. April is Arts Month. And woohoo! Uh-oh, I think there are rules for clapping though, yes? We can all do this, people, we can all do this. And so want to thank your board and the motion by Chair Lindsay Horvath and Supervisor Solis, and acknowledge that we are here today presenting on the Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative due to last year's motion by Supervisor Solis, and I believe that was co-authored by Horvath as well. So to start the presentation, I want to first just add some acknowledgments. In addition to the board, we cannot do our work without the LA County Arts Commission, some of whom may be here, as well as the Collective Jobs Creative Impact Initiative Steering Committee and team at Arts for LA, our colleagues at Department of Economic Opportunity, the Department of Arts and Culture staff, and so many incredible folks who advocate for arts and culture and deliver this important work for our communities, many of whom are here today. So I want to start by talking about arts, culture, and the creative economy as an ecosystem. This is an incredibly powerful economic engine that in LA County before the pandemic was putting out $200 billion of annual output every year, LA County alone. And we know that at the national level, the creative economy is actually larger in its GDP than sectors like transportation. But more than that, arts and culture also is multi-benefit, bringing us not only economic impact, but social impact like arts and health, arts and youth, vibrant communities, inclusion and belonging. So this ecosystem, which includes for-profit businesses, individual artists, creative workers, the nonprofit sector, fine and performing arts, and more, all comprise the arts and creative economy. Our role at the Department of Arts and Culture is not to operate a single cultural organization or even necessarily to deliver direct to the public, but more so to ensure public funding, strategies, resources, and support for the creative sector so that it in turn can deliver arts and culture and all of those economic and social and civic benefits to our communities. So how do we do that? Well, let me share a little bit about the role at the Department of Arts and Culture and what we've been doing so far. We address this by offering grants to nonprofits, now serving over 650 of LA County's nonprofit arts and equity building organizations. In addition to our annual programs like the Organizational Grant Program, Community Impact Arts Grant, in addition to those, we've been playing a key role in the recovery from the pandemic. Thanks to your board allocating CARES Act funds, American Rescue Plan funds, and others, we have delivered over $40 million to the nonprofit creative sector in the pandemic to support relief and recovery. We also know that the audiences, artists, creative workers, and supporters of tomorrow are our young people today. And so one of our largest divisions is actually our Arts Education and Youth Development Division, where through a public-private collective impact initiative called the Arts Education Collective, we deliver arts advancement grants to school districts, strategic planning support, and ensure that arts and healing-informed arts programs are delivered to systems-impacted youth, particularly those in county systems like foster group homes and county probation sites. So last year we leveraged $3.1 million, and over the last 20 years, we have been able to leverage $59 million towards that effort, and every year thousands of systems-impacted young folks are supported through this work as well. We also commission individual artists through civic art. Those are jobs, and at any point in time, our team is managing over 150 projects to deliver art to our communities, but also that hire artists, fabricators, and more. We also work in professional development, expanding opportunities for artists, but also for organizations, including our new Public Artists in Development program that we have launched with support from the Mellon Foundation to support the economic empowerment of artists underrepresented in public art. And we've got a flagship program, the LA County Arts Internship Program, which supports creative careers for diverse students in our colleges with a community college expansion thanks to the Cultural Equity and Inclusion Initiative and your board. And so this year we're providing 228 paid internships at over 160 arts organizations. So through this work, we ensure the pathways of tomorrow and that youth are paid for work-based learning in the arts today. We're also supporting cross-sector arts strategies, be that arts and immigration, arts and homelessness, and through that, of course, the well-being and more jobs for artists. But we also play a role convening the different parts of the field, from philanthropy to educators and more. And we house the Arts Commission and the City County Native American Indian Commission, thinking about cultural equity and inclusion as well. We can go to the next slide. But I want to really think about not only all of the incredible work happening today, but what we can continue to build on to do tomorrow to support, retain, and grow our creative economy. Because let me tell you, we are the creative capital of the world, but I actually believe we have the opportunity to redefine what it means to be the creative capital of the world so that it is thriving and robust, but also inclusive, accessible, and reflective of our diverse LA County and our talent. So part of that is thinking about what that looks like. Right now, we just hot off the presses completed a LA County workforce demographic survey that surveys the demographics of the nonprofit arts sector here in LA County and compares it to our LA County population. First one in 5 years. And we can share that there is progress. We are seeing that 45% of supervisory staff identified as BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color, up from 34% in 2019. Female workers continue to be outnumber their male counterparts. LGBTQ plus individuals are more prevalent in the arts workforce than the population. And people with disability, identifying as having a disability, are on the rise. Younger workers also are more diverse. But we still see gaps. We see gaps in Latino, Latinx workers, the widest gaps in representation compared to LA County's population, 13% of the arts and culture workforce, whereas in LA County, 49% of the county's population would have identified in that way. Also, people in decision-making roles at board levels tend to be less diverse as well. So we know it's going to be important to keep moving forward with all of our strategies. Looking ahead, we know that things like your board adopting the countywide cultural policy and the goals of the strategic plan are a roadmap for how we can continue to grow and support our creative economy and ensure that it is not lured away by other jurisdictions who are trying to do just that, and that it is accessible. Thinking about how we have access to resources and funding through grant programs like OGP, how we have free concerts so we have creative communities and audiences, but those are also jobs for musicians, expanding arts education, which is part of career pathways, the foundational first step in career pathways, as well as other opportunities like professional development, creative space, research evaluation, and more. All of these, I'm proud to say, align with the goals of the Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative that you are going to hear about from my colleagues coming up next. So I am thrilled to be part of this work and supporting LA County, but also supporting this community, this sector, and how it can work for all of us. Happy to answer questions and be part of the dialogue after you hear from my colleagues.
Thank you, Kristen. Good morning, supervisors. Good morning, everyone in the audience. My name is Kelly Lobianco, and I'm the director of the LA County Department of Economic Opportunity. DEO was excited to join the Arts for LA Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative's steering committee last year following the motion in April by this board. You just heard from Kristen, there is huge economic power and impact in the region, and also many opportunities for us to build a more equitable economy in the creative space here. So many of the recommendations that you're going to hear from Gustavo and the Arts for LA team build on the work that DEO is doing already and committed to doing to support our creative economy, whether that's our major industries, our small businesses, and our workers, including our youth workers. I want to sort of paint a picture quickly of the work we're doing today. We are really, really excited about this moment just to have an opportunity during Arts Month to share what we're doing in the creative space and also join our sort of creative ecosystem, many of who are here together, about the impact that we're making and the impact we could make. Part of the Arts for LA and the Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative's goals are 10,000 new jobs with living wages and also creating parity among the creative workforce. All of those align with the efforts of our department. As an economic and workforce development agency, we are focused on our creative economy as a high growth industry with many high road employers and an opportunity to continue to grow here in LA inclusively with an increasingly diverse pipeline of local talent. So you can see how that connects to the Arts for LA goals. Again, I wanted to highlight a few areas that we're investing today, a few things that are coming up in the next 3 months, and then pass it over to Gustavo so you can hear about the full range of committee recommendations. So through our LA County Film Office, which is now housed in the Department of Economic Opportunity, they serve as our liaison to the industry, meaning our studios, our small productions, our labor partners, our CBOs, and beyond. We're cutting through the red tape and making it easier to do business in the region, including issuing permits with Film LA. You can see here through the sheer volume of filming that's possible. This was pre-pandemic, and hopefully what will grow back to as we're emerging from the pandemic. We're working with partners at Arts and Culture and many in this room to center conversations on major issues of the day like COVID safety, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and AI and technology changes in the industry through convenings and summits. We were proud to co-host the BRIC Summit just last month. We're working to identify additional county space for filming and creative activities. We're investing in our creative workforce as leads of the county's public workforce system. This includes investments in our youth and underinvested groups in industry exposure and a brand new pre-apprenticeship in digital editing with Venice Arts. And with our Office of Small Business, we're supporting arts nonprofits and businesses in accessing information, technical assistance, and much needed capital to start up and grow. Right now, we have over 200 certified arts entities ready to do business with LA County and distributed nearly $1 million in economic opportunity grants funded by the American Rescue Plan to micro and small businesses in the industry to help them recover. And we were also there in the last year when the dual strike and negotiations were underway, providing resources and dollars where possible to sort of mitigate the impacts for our workers and small businesses. So we're really proud of the work that we're doing to support entrepreneurship, small business services, government navigation, space and capital access, certification and contracting, job creation and training, every sort of element and economic lever you can think of, but we know we can do more. So in the coming months, just to quickly highlight some of the activities you're going to see before the end of the fiscal year, we're going to be investing more than $5 million in high road training partnerships and registered pre and apprenticeships and recovery grants, so stay tuned for information about those. We've got studies underway right now, thanks to a couple of motions that the board put forth last year in the midst of the strikes to identify additional financial incentives and creative strategies to keep filming local and keep business local. We're going to be bringing new policy before the board to streamline our permitting processes. We want to make it as easy as possible for folks to get in there and film. We're launching a Center of Excellence in the Creative Economy as part of our American Job Centers of California. We're launching new contracts at the start of July, making sure that we're creating that diverse pipeline of talent into the creative sectors, including jobs and training support. And we're amping up those certification numbers. You saw the 200 before, and supporting our small businesses and nonprofits alongside our partners with Arts and Culture to ensure, one, that we're meeting our equity and county contracting goals, and we're also preparing for some of the major initiatives coming up down the line, whether that's new infrastructure coming in through the BIL and the IRA or the Olympics. So more broadly, we're very, very excited to continue to invest in this space. We're excited to build a more equitable economy and very much looking forward to seeing how we can directly contribute to those 10,000 jobs created as part of our goals here and sort of those equity dimensions as well. And so with that, I will pass it over to Gustavo for Arts for LA recommendations. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Now we can.
All right. Thank you, Director Lobianco, and thank you, Director Sakota. It's been wonderful partnering with the departments. Thank you for, good morning, first off, LA County Supervisors, Madam Chair Horvath. I want to first recognize the leadership of Supervisor Horvath and Supervisor Solis in championing this Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be with you today and co-present with my fellow colleagues. I remind you that what we co-present today is on behalf of a 19-person steering committee and 4 working groups that have been working on this, many of whom are here today in the audience. And so I just want to take a moment to recognize the arts advocates who have made the time to be here on Arts Day, Arts Month, to both celebrate Arts Day, but also take meaningful steps forward with you as our county supervisors. And I also want to take a moment to share that the recommendations that we present to you have also been reviewed, and we have Coro Fellows who have contributed their thoughts to this effort. And representing here for Coro, I think, is Abril, who has been a great partner in this effort. Last year, LA was ranked #1 arts provider in the country. But we are also number 258 in government support for the arts. LA County is widely touted as the creative capital of the world, but there is a disconnect between how the county supports arts, culture, and entertainment as one creative ecosystem. We contacted SMU Data Arts, that is the organization that the data, number 250, to help us compare 14 similar counties to our own. And what we found is that LA is tied with New York as the top provider of independent artists and arts culture firms. But when we look at arts dollars, we fall behind several counties, including San Francisco, New York, and Fulton County, which just invested $56.6 million in arts and culture this fiscal year. The recommendations that we will present to you aim to connect through policy interventions, arts, culture, and entertainment as one ecosystem. Before I jump into the recommendations, I just want to draw your eyes to the presentation. Back in 2021, Arts for LA started thinking through this concept of the Creative Jobs Collective Impact Initiative because we were experiencing the pandemic, and here are some of the original data points that we were looking at. Only 26%, well, 3/5 of our creative workforce in LA County, this is the arts nonprofit creative workforce, self-identify as white. That is a diversity representation challenge for Los Angeles. I shared with you Los Angeles ranks #1 in arts providers, number 258 in government funding. And in 2020, we saw a job loss of close to 700,000. And one of the things that was very concerning about that job loss is we saw steep decreases in job loss for young people of color. The number jumped from 8% to about 24%. So the original goals around the Creative Jobs Collective, again, build parity between regional demographics and creative workforce representation, to establish a sector-wide median entry-level wage that is at or above the region's living wage. And the final goal is to build 10,000 creative sector job placements centering youth and adults from historically underrepresented communities. Over the past year, we as one collective this 19-person steering committee have been working to develop these recommendations, which we will present to you now. Next slide, please. Before I do that, it's important that I share with you that based on the GIT data from civil economics, what we see here is that we see a potential of 604,000 jobs, creative jobs by the year 2033. There's a projected 6.1% growth in creative jobs between 2023 and 2033, approximately 62,000 creative job openings per year. And so this number of 10,000 in the broader context makes sense. Another data point that I want to share with you is that when we look at W-2 employees, gig workers, and independent contractors, we're seeing very, very stark differences in pay for what are known as gig workers and, of course, W-2 employees. And so one of the things that you'll see in the recommendations is how LA County can better support its independent contractors. Next slide.
Moving on to the remainder of your presentation. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, County Supervisors. So just continuing with the recommendations, as a reminder, a 19-person steering committee. There was 4 working groups that helped develop these recommendations. I also want to just mention that there were over 100 arts advocates here who will, I think, do their best to call in. But recommendation number 1, research and data collection. This is really around administering funding for ongoing ecosystem studies. There are great studies out there, but not one that's really connecting all of the dots between arts, culture, and entertainment. We're all ensuring that we're defining and measuring gig work in the process, as it's such an important part of the ecosystem. Recommendation number 2 is increasing and sustaining public funding to support arts organizations, looking at arts, media, entertainment orgs, and administration. One of the first sub-recommendations here is doubling the Arts and Culture OGP program from $4.5 to $9 million, relaunching the LA County Free Concerts, providing funding to DEO to expand programming and staff capacity within DEO and the LA County Film Office. And this recommendation I do want to draw your attention to because directing county departments to streamline RFP processes, this is something that is very much hurting the arts and culture system and could do a whole lot if we were to streamline that process. Recommendation number 3, expanding workforce development programs into the arts. Kelly spoke about arts, media, entertainment, and high road training partnerships. The state has just invested $3.5 million into AME high road training partnerships. The county can do something similar, and an investment into these type of programs will really drive significant number of folks into the field. Expanding professional development and technical assistance, capacity building programs. The Department of Arts and Culture does an excellent job with these programs, and there's excellent models out there that exist, including IATSE's program. And funding the training of career navigators to connect students of color to paid internships. This is the idea of modeling a navigator program like the Covered California Navigators program, really having folks in the community at local barbershops, at grocery stores, really exposing folks who would not have exposure to arts, culture, and entertainment, meeting them where they are. Recommendation number 4 really speaks to the heart of better supporting creative workers and artists. It's about extending health and safety net programs, unemployment insurance, and paid leave programs for independent workers, freelance artists, and entertainment workers. Here we talk about the Freelance Worker Protection Ordinance, making one that's commensurate with the LA City Ordinance, ensuring folks are paid on time. And the second is convening, this is a very important recommendation, is convening arts and culture, convening DEO, and any of the county departments that deal with safety net programs and health insurance and so forth to ensure that we can continue to expand worker protections and health benefits. I hear all of the time, I've just connected with someone who's been 25 years with a small budget organization, zero retirement, and at the retirement age, no option for the future. The number one thing that artists are citing as a big challenge is actually access to health insurance. So how do we at the county level do a better job of connecting the dots to better support our artists and creative workers? Recommendation number 5 is connecting teaching artists and industry professionals to credentialed certification programs. As you all know, Proposition 28 was passed with nearly a 70% California voter support. Will bring about $1 billion in arts education funding, but we have a huge teacher shortage. This recommendation is about how we pathway teaching artists specifically into credentialed and certification programs. It's a big part of how we get to the 10,000 jobs. Recommendation number 6 is assessing the benefits and risks of a wage ordinance to increase the LA County living wage for creative economy. And this includes, in the assessment, ensuring that we're considering the impacts that it would have on the entertainment industry, on small businesses, and on nonprofit organizations, and ensuring that any county investments that are made, they should have sufficient funds to meet living wage standards. Recommendation number 7 is we've spent time as a collective looking at state and federal legislation, and what we have done here is narrowed it down to 5 things that the county can really do at the state and federal level that would create the environment for these 10,000 jobs. And here we're talking about supporting state advocacy efforts to expand unemployment insurance benefits, paid leave programs to independent contractors, to support federal legislation, the CREATE Act, to support the Creative Workforce Investment Act, and also to advocate to increase the California Film Tax Credit from $330 million to $600 million when it comes due in 2030. And the final recommendation for you all is around reducing cost and exploring hiring incentives that keep LA businesses in LA County. And how do we maximize the benefits of hiring local, underrepresented communities? There's some great work that is already underway in this space that I think is important to recognize with DEO's office, but reducing the high cost of film and television production by removing red tape, parking, or permit fees, and then also the expansion of a program for independent films and low-budget television. So this is the suite of recommendations, supervisors, that the collective impact has worked on. I want to just take a moment to say that Los Angeles is truly at a pivotal moment. In the next 4 years, in 2026, we will have the FIFA World Cup coming to Los Angeles, followed by the 2027 All-Star NBA game and the 2027 NFL Super Bowl, and then capped with the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. It is estimated that there are going to be approximately $50 billion in economic activity that happens in the next 4 years. And I remind you that behind every one of these stages, behind stages, commercials, all of the creativity are artists and creative workers. And there is a moment that we have right now as a county to not just deliver on the promise of all of these amazing global events, but to become the #1 arts provider, the #1 supporter of the arts for government support, and to do so while we acknowledge and support our artists and creative workers. And so I really thank you for this opportunity to be able to present with my colleagues and on behalf of the Collective Impact Initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and apologies for the delay in